The Calgary Flames need to find a way to scrape themselves off the mat on today's episode of Locked On Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. It is your host, Nick Zerars, holding it down while Jess is doing other work things. Today, we are going to talk about a whole lot of that happened during the course of this week. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Well, the Flames lost to the Dallas Stars Wednesday night, and we're talking about a Flames team that is really up against it right now. They are mired in it, they are deep in it, and they have got to find a way out of this hole. And on today's episode, we're going to discuss just how they go about that. So I broke this episode up into off the floor, meaning we're on the floor, why are we here? Then, in the second segment, we're going to talk about how the schedule is working to their benefit because they have off Thursday, yesterday, and today, Friday. And then we're going to talk about the mindset, what it's going to take to dig out of this hole and really get there. So, starting with the good. The Flames played a pretty good game against a pretty good hockey team in the Dallas Stars on Wednesday. Other than the miscommunication with Markstrom and Rasmus Andersson behind the net that directly led to the Dallas goal, and the Markstrom flub where he got beat. He should have made that save, but it crept by him. It can't keep happening. I know I keep saying that, and somehow the Flames keep getting unlucky, but in a vacuum, they can't keep having all of their mistakes end up in the back of their own net. They are a team that is pressing extremely hard, and it is why they are in this weird space right now where it feels like every single mistake is exponential. Because for whatever reason, maybe the universe is cruel, maybe there's some other factor at play we're not considering here, but no team is this consistently unlucky where every single mistake results in a goal. Eventually the other team's got to hit the post or the glass or miss the net entirely. Eventually, that miscommunication between Markstrom and Andersson is going to result in Andersson just rimming the puck out of the zone into the neutral zone, they reconnect, and then they discuss it. Because right now, when you're pressing, when you're against it, the way I liken to describing this is like quicksand or against a riptide. I know I'm going to quote the John Mulaney bit real quick, but when I was a kid, I thought quicksand was going to be a real issue. There's quicksand on I-95, so you might want to take 495. You go around the quicksand. And in the case of a riptide, you go to the beach, they got the signs out there as you're walking down the pier down to the sand that says, if you are in a riptide, do not try and swim against the current, swim parallel to the current and get out of it. That is what the Flames need to do right now. It's not everybody needs to try and be a hero. It's not, I'll take care of this, I'll fix this, I'm a good player. That's what we're going to talk about more in the third segment of today's show, just what the right mindset for this type of situation is. But when you are in it, when you are struggling, the most important thing, and this ties into the mindset. So this is bad radio, and I'm going to give away the tease, but you can't get discouraged. Every game operates in a vacuum when you are in this type of situation. You are one game at a time, one period, one shift. You break it down that simple. Did I just have a good shift? No? Okay, my next time on the ice, I need to go out there and have a good shift. I don't need to score a goal. I don't need to make a crazy play. I need a good shift. If you're a fourth liner, that means puck into the offensive zone, waste 45 seconds, and don't concede anything defensively, and don't make your goalie work any harder. The only thing that has kept the Flames from totally careening into the abyss this early in the season has been the player Jacob Markstrom. Markstrom was outstanding on Wednesday night against the Stars, made a series of high-level saves on really dangerous scoring chances from quality areas of the ice, and that's something the Flames really need to tighten up. Markstrom is playing outstanding. Don't get me wrong. It's great that Markstrom's found his mojo. He's found a way to climb out of his hole. Maybe he can talk about what he did over the summer to reset his mind with the rest of the team, because they all need that too. everybody knows Markstrom had a difficult season last year and really, really needed an offseason to kind of get a hard reset in. And the schedule is not nearly as forgiving when it's November. I almost said October, but I did happen to remember it's November now. When you are in November, December, January, you do not have the, oh, well, the All-Star break's coming. Well, we've got the trade deadline. Maybe we can reset. We are a handful of games into the season. It is the first week of November. The Flames are paying way too much money to too many good players for this to already be a lost season. So the Flames might be on the bathroom floor right now. They are going to find a way off this floor, or something cataclysmic is going to happen. One of those two outcomes is going to happen because we're talking about sports. In the sports world, we often operate in the binary. You win or you lose. If you're in hockey, you get the overtime loss. Sometimes it's a triad instead of a binary decision, but you understand what I'm saying here. You win, you overtime loss, or you lost. That tells me one of three things. The Flames need to find a way to start building confidence. How do you build confidence? You make a play. It doesn't need to be a goal. It can be a big hit. It can be a good forecheck. It can be rubbing the other team out, forcing a turnover, and creating a transition play. When you are struggling, you need to start building momentum. You need to start crawling before you can walk before you can run. The Flames are at a point right now where everything that seemingly can go wrong is going wrong, as I take a sip of water here. And because of that, it feels like the sky is falling. Jess and I discussed during the week what that meant in terms of Chicken Little and how worried you should be. The Flames are not in a DEFCON 1 scenario where we're going to start talking about trading people, firing anybody. This is too early in the season. You already used the fire the coach mechanic to try and spark the team. You opted to keep the team together. Conroy very easily could have opted to juggle some stuff around in the offseason, try and rejigger the lines and rejigger the roster, not just the lines, and get some new blood in here. But they felt that all they needed was a different coach. That spark would ignite the change they needed, and it hasn't taken yet. The Flames are not playing atrociously. They're not getting hemmed in their own zone for long stretches of time. It's the little details that are killing them right now. And that's glass half full. That is encouraging because it's a real opportunity to build. When you are playing well and still losing, there are tangible steps to take incrementally in your process to get better. As a business owner, you realize there are times when receivables might fall behind. But that doesn't mean you need to fall behind on vendor payments, payroll, or rent. For more than 25 years, Parkview Advance has helped businesses secure working capital from $5,000 to $1.5 million. Parkview Advance can approve your working capital in as little as 24 hours. It's a much easier process than you might even imagine. We invite the many entrepreneurs that are Locked On NHL fans to learn more by calling us at 203-675-0071 or go to parkviewadvance.com. If your business needs working capital, call Parkview Advance today. Parkview Advance, helping businesses with their working capital. Go to parkviewadvance.com today. Real quick, we also have got to talk about our friends at Indeed. When you're drafting a fantasy team, don't you wish you could do the same thing with your work team? If you're building a roster to win in your workspace, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match assessments and virtual interviews. Hate waiting? Indeed's US data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. Something I love about Indeed is the fact that you can do everything all in one place. Take assessments, prove skills, arrange interviews, schedule calls. Candidates are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in an internet search, according to US data. Indeed does the hard work. Sponsor a job and boom, instant match. Indeed knows when you're growing a business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/locked on to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/locked on. Indeed.com/locked on. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. I want to thank everybody hanging out with us on this Friday afternoon. Hopefully, you have an exciting weekend looming ahead after Halloween last weekend. Maybe you're like me and don't want to do anything, but you got to have fun on the weekend when you can. And the Flames don't return to action until Saturday night. They are playing, I wrote this down, the Seattle Kraken Saturday night. Seattle is a solid team that plays a similar style to what Calgary does. But before we even start talking about the game, I'm going to step into the head of what I would do if I were trying to get this ship going in the right direction again. Instead of crashing into the iceberg in slow motion, one game at a time, I am taking a deep breath. I would have taken one of Thursday or Friday days the Flames do not have games, and totally unplugged the team. If it were up to me, I would have said Thursday, total unplug, do anything but hockey. You guys didn't play bad yesterday against Dallas. We made a few bad mistakes. We need to take a deep breath and realize we can't win 50 games in one game. We need everything we've got to come out and give a good performance on Saturday night and win and end this losing streak, which is now tied for the third longest in Flames history. We need to take a hard reset. You hear teams do this sometimes. The burn the tape game. The game against the Stars was not a burn the tape game. They didn't play terribly. Zary was really noticeable, scored his first career NHL goal, gave that line a little bit of juice that they sorely needed. The Flames didn't play poorly. That was not a burn the tape game. I am encouraging an unplug, take a moment kind of day, because when you are losing like this, when everything feels intensifying, that the storm is brewing, that when you feel that humidity in the air, and if you're old like me, you feel it in your knees and your elbows and your joints. When you feel it in one of those places, that's when you know the storm is coming. And right now, I'm not going to say the Flames have like a cloud overhead, but it's starting to get overcast. And there's rain in the forecast, but the weatherman, the meteorologist, he might be wrong. So there's a chance the storm goes in another direction and we avoid the rain altogether. Or the storm moves in and it intensifies and lingers for a little while. To avoid that, to unplug, to create a better headspace, Thursday, in my mind, should have been a day, no hockey whatsoever. You want to watch hockey on your own time? That's fine, but we're not doing practice. If you got to get treatment, come into the facility, get your treatment. If you want to get a workout in, do that. No practice, no organized team activities. Everybody on their own. Go spend time with your family, do something with your teammates, whatever. No hockey. We need to be mentally prepared for the grind of this season. We're starting out far behind. We are not off to a good start. That does not mean we can't have a good middle and finish of this season. So, how do we go about doing that? It is all in the mindset. In my opinion, the best way to get out of these ruts is to focus on the little things. And that might sound counterintuitive. Well, if they can't do the simple things right, why are we going to focus on the minute details? Hear me out. I'm not talking crazy. I am talking you go out there on the ice with your stick and you make a simple play. You send the puck in. You go forecheck and pressure the guy trying to retrieve it on the other team. You stand in front of the net. You go to the dirty areas. You do the simple things. From there, you can start to build things out and focus on, okay, well, we're not creating enough of this type of scoring chance, and we want to be more active in the neutral zone or in the defensive zone. Let's keep it simple. When you are in this type of vortex, which is sucking the life force out of your body, you gotta start simple. What do we often tell people when they're dealing with difficult situations? Well, let's break it up into smaller pieces and it doesn't seem as daunting. Winning one game in the NHL is hard. You might say, well, Nick, teams win 55, 60 games. The worst team ever still won 8 games in an NHL season. Teams will win games by accident. That does happen. But to actively win games, to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, to find ways to win time after time, that is difficult. In my mind, to become that type of team, you need some things to go your way. You can't have things go your way when everybody's down in the dumps, when everybody's got low morale, and it feels like you can't do anything right. That's why I would have encouraged a day of no hockey activities. And then I would have taken Friday to have a practice, reset everybody's brains of, okay, next time I'm on the ice, good shift. If I string together 3, 4, 5 good shifts in a row, I had a good period. If we do that for multiple periods in a row, we had a good game. We win a good game. We win when we play well. Okay, great. Let's carry that over to the next game. You start going and going and you're building momentum and you're finding ways to win and everybody starts feeling good about themselves. And that's generally when you find players at their very best, when they are have the utmost confidence in their abilities. There's no hesitation, there's no delay. It seems they always make the right play, that players are always in the right place at the right time. That type of feeling is important, and the Flames need to find a way to get there. And that starts with a reset. That starts with, okay, we didn't win, we played okay, though. Nothing to feel ashamed about, nothing to be embarrassed about. But next time we go out there, we really need a win. So I'm going to go out there and do my job. And that will nicely pivot us to talking about the mindset going forward. Before we talk about what the Flames need to do to get their mindset right, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We're approaching the holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, and this can be a really stressful time of year for a lot of people out there. The holidays, you're around your friends, you're around your family, you feel the financial anxiety of paying for all of these things, but it doesn't have to ruin the holidays. Adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings of stress. Therapy can be a bright spot amid all of the stress and change of this time of year, something to help you feel grounded and give you the tools to manage the situation. It's helpful to learn positive coping skills and how to set boundaries for your day to day life. It empowers you to feel like the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for people going through major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and suited for your schedule. Fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnhl today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnhl. Hope everybody is enjoying their Friday, attacking the weekend with some enthusiasm. We're all working for the weekend, or if you're a person who works on the weekend and if your weekend is like Tuesday and Wednesday, sorry for that comment. I know it can be troubling. You want to make plans with your friends, but your days off are not aligned with theirs, and it becomes really difficult to make plans. But we're attacking this positive mindset. Everything is a positive mindset. And how are we going to go about doing that? We're starting it simple. You heard me say it before. Little things, small details. Every time I have the puck, what am I doing with it? Am I getting it to a teammate? Am I dumping it in? Do I know where it needs to go? If I don't know if I don't know where the puck needs to go, why don't I know that? Am I feeling the stress? Am I worried about making a mistake? Because that's doubt creeping in. And I know I sound like the worst person you know on Instagram that you went to high school with who lives by the grind set mindset of never sleeping and working all the time and all of the ridiculous things you see on social media. But in the sports world, you have to be a little delusional sometimes. When you are in the sports world, you need to find anything to give yourself a competitive edge. When we talk about the greatest to ever do it, when we talk about people like Tom Brady, that man won 7 Super Bowls. 7! And still was operating on the mindset of, I was drafted 199th overall. None of these people believe in me. None of these people respect me. I'm going to rip their heart out and make them respect me one play at a time. And it's what made him so unbelievably good and so unbelievably clutch. Whatever you got to tell yourself to make yourself believe. If you watch The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary, whether that guy on the Wizards actually said anything to Michael Jordan or not that affected Michael Jordan, it didn't matter. Michael Jordan, he leaned back in his chair and said, I took that personally, and then dropped 45 the next game. For these guys, you need to drop whatever it is in your mind to get you into the headspace you need to be able to play your best. If you're a Flames player, maybe it's, damn, things aren't going too well. I need to believe. Let me find what I need. If you are a guy who needs that negative motivation, they're already quitting on us. We're less than 2 months into the season and our fans don't want to come to the games. Okay, I'll prove them wrong. I'll make them want to be here. Maybe you're that type of guy. Maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum. Maybe you need the pat on the back, the it's going to be okay. We got good players on this team. We believe in you and you're going to figure this out speech. Whatever you need to get yourself going, that is the social, the human, the emotional side of the game that we on the outside as fans, as people who do content, and even journalists who are only in the room, 20 minutes 20 minutes after practice and 20 minutes after games. We only know so much about these guys and their day-to-day life and what motivates them and what empowers them and what makes them play their best hockey. At the very least, we know it's a spectrum. Some guys are on one end, some guys are in the middle, some guys are all the way at the other end. But no matter what, you need to find what works for you. And your hope, and part of the reason you changed coaches, was that Ryan Huska would be able to find a way to tap these guys in whatever way. We know Huska under Daryl Sutter was the good cop, that Daryl was miserable, he was mean, he was antagonistic, he would embarrass and berate people in front of the rest of the team. And then down the hall, Huska would have his office door open and guys would come in and be like, can you believe what Daryl's doing? And he would listen and try and serve as the intermediary and the good cop and allow guys to get some stuff off their chest. Now, you've been that confidant. These guys believe in you. They trust in you. You, Ryan Huska, need to find a way to tap into whatever it is in each of these guys individually to find a way. If you know a guy is feeling down, you give them the pat on the back, you give them hey, good practice today. Even if they didn't have a good practice, because when you're in that fragile emotional state, you need it. Or if you know a guy needs to be yelled at, kind of. Everybody knows the scene in Miracle where Kirk Russell turns and he goes, I thought you were a hockey player. Bruise in your leg, long way from the heart. And Jack O'Callahan says, Herb, what do you want me to do? And Herb goes, I thought you were a hockey player. And Jack O'Callahan stands up and screams at the top of his lungs, I am a hockey player. That maybe there's a guy on the Flames that needs that to get them going. But for whatever it's going to take for the Flames to find a way, that's what it's going to take. We are talking about a fragile situation that at its worst might get I can't even imagine what the worst case scenario for the season looks like for the Flames. Like, if they win 26 games, I don't think they're going to fire the GM and the coach. But what are you going to do? You're going to trade Elias Lindholm and Noah Hannafin and then just run back the exact same group next year and hope that doing it a second time with even less talent is going to work out? That's why I don't buy it, and part of why I believe the Flames are still going to have the ability to turn this around, and part of why I'm not as worried as I probably should be. In all honesty, I probably should be a little bit more worried about the way the Flames can't find ways to win yet. That good teams find ways to win, bad teams find ways to lose, that type of situation. It's frustrating. The season is long. There's opportunity to scrape yourself off the bathroom floor, to scrape yourself off the mat if you're in a boxing ring, or the octagon if you're in an MMA fight, or a wrestling ring if you're a professional wrestler, or on the mat if you're an amateur wrestler. What's that called? Greco-Roman. Yeah, if you're a Greco-Roman wrestler, scrape yourself off the mat. But the Flames need to find whatever's going to work for them specifically. And that goes down to every individual player. And that starts with the coach. The coach has been there. He knows these guys. He knows what they need to be successful. It's his job to put them in a position to succeed. Will the Flames be able to capitalize on that position to succeed? It took me a minute to come to the words I wanted to use there. Will the Flames be able to capitalize if they are put in that position to succeed? that will just about do it for today's episode of Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all those places, YouTube as well, to see whatever miscellaneous sports stuff I am wearing. If you are listening to the podcast, I'm wearing a Hartford Whalers hat and a Green Bay Packers sweatshirt and have a Jerome McGinley Flame Team Canada jersey behind me. Hang out on YouTube. It's a lot of fun, in all honesty. And once we get a little deeper into the season, we can add a little bit more added value, because we can show you some statistics, some graphs, some charts to give you a better understanding and a quick detailed visual, as opposed to listening to me rattle off a series of numbers. Hope everybody has a safe, enjoyable weekend. Jess and I will see you guys next week. Later.